Hi, I'm Yu. Hi, I'm Jun. Today in this video, I'm going to show you the interview I did to a man who's been participating in a protest in Myanmar. Maybe some of you have already heard about this military coup in Myanmar. On 1st of February, the country's military forces arrested civil elected leader Aung San Suu Kyi and members of her party. The military is now back in charge and claims that there was a fraud in the election which they lost. Basically, the military is now trying to take away freedom and democracy from the citizens' hand again. And the situation in Myanmar has been getting worse and worse since 1st of February. So a few days ago, I could reach a Burmese man who called Jack, who I think the bravest man I've ever witnessed. And I made an interview about what's happening in Myanmar and what we can do to help. I've made this video because we've been to Myanmar before and it was one of our best trips and met the kindest people in the world. So I wanted to help by making this video. I hope this video is gonna be shared worldwide and be watched by as many people as possible. And the interview starts now.
Hi there.
Hello. How are you doing?
Hey, Son. Pretty good under the circumstances, I guess.
Okay.
It's a quiet Sunday morning, so.
Okay. Okay, so from now I'm gonna interview about this military coup in Myanmar, what's happening right now. And first of all, thank you for accepting this interview for the YouTube. Can you hear me?
Yusuf, can you hear me?
Yeah,
okay.
now.
Sorry, it's finally back. Sorry.
Okay.
Internet seems to be a little bit unstable these days. We're actually a little bit afraid that our internet will be cut soon, especially with all the craziness that's happening.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I understood. Once again, thank you for accepting this interview for the YouTube. And I think you need a big courage to do this, but yeah, thank you for that.
And it's actually a pleasure. And I also thank you for the opportunity to speak out as well.
Okay, and first of all, what is your name?
My name is my Burmese name is Ben Taik, but most of my colleagues and friends call me Jack. And I basically am work as a YouTuber as well, a little bit on my for board games in Myanmar before all of this happens. Yeah.
Okay, okay. So what do you do for a living?
I'm I'm a marketing manager for a fashion company. Of course, I wouldn't want to mention the name here yet, but yes, that's my main job.
Mhm.
And it's okay from outside.
I don't hear nothing. Pretty much, it's okay.
All right, okay. Yeah, and I'm a marketing manager, and I work especially in fashion and especially for digital platforms.
Okay, very nice, very cool. For your security, and I can blur your face or I can change your voice when I edit its video. What would you prefer? Do you want to show your? Are you okay with showing your face, or you don't want it?
To be honest, I'm a little bit scared, but I think it's necessary to show my face and voice. It's a symbolic gesture, I believe.
Wow. I'm literally amazed by your courage. I mean, yeah. Okay.
We have to try.
Okay. Okay, let me start the interview now. Okay, the first question. How did you feel when the coup happened, and how much were you scared?
Feel. I mean, I first heard about the news at 6 a.m. in the morning, and it just was just a phone call that came in. I lived through the Saffron Revolution back in 2007. And even then, this is a far much worse feeling. I don't even know how to describe it. It's not just scare or hopelessness. It's about something that you've tried to be a participant to build for 5 years now, and just seeing it all taken away with a snap. So it's a very mixture of a knot of a feeling, emotions. When I first heard the news, and since then, every day has been scary. It's definitely has been scary. It's also it's also anger. We finally had hope after 25 years, and now it's just being taken away.
Okay. I cannot imagine, but yeah, I can maybe imagine how you feel. Okay, so the next question is how the country, how your city changed before and after the coup, like people or shops on the streets, the public security, etc.
Oh, okay. On a city level, for I live in Yangon, which is the commercial city of the country. So, and we've already been before the whole debacle happened, before the insurgent happened. Yangon has been a little bit on the slow side comparatively to the past 5 years, thanks to COVID. However, we've been recovering. We've been actually having a lot more hope since the vaccine has arrived in Myanmar, and we're supposed to receive our first doses actually a few days ago. But of course, now we don't have it, and we're very hopeful for the city to recover. And on a country level, everybody was being very hopeful because like we just finished the elections. And the elected governments are supposed to be sworn in this week, and then when the coup happened, everything was gone. Yangon become a very solemn place. It's actually quite scary because when you go out, there's nobody. There's literally nobody on the street on the first day of the coup. Because we've had these kind of problems before in the past 25 years alone. So and
the reason why no one out there was the people was scared of going out.
The first day was the people were scared.
Oh.
The military has been known to use brutal force, and they have also been shown to be very ruthless, very unhindered in their approach. So, and we have no connection on the first day. We have no internet connection. We have no phone connection. There was no way for us to contact anybody, and it's just being trapped alone in an apartment. So everybody was very afraid. Except and economically, not just the city, the whole country basically turned into come to a halt. And now Yangon, not just Yangon, Mandalay, Molamyai, Daungji, the whole country is in an uproar against the military coup, as we want to bring back democracy. And it's on a shop for a retailer. It's a very slow. It's been a very slow week. There's likely no business for everybody. Yeah,
I see. So the first day no one out there, but now like people doing this demonstration every day, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a very inspiring thing to see because just 5 years ago, right, when all the atrocities of the Rohingya has been happening, and we're a country that has been in a civil war stalemate for nearly 60 years now, and it's just been, there hasn't been this kind of solidarity in the people since, if I could say, like since the '88 uprisings. And we see people out there of every color, every religion, of every ethnicity walking out to demand the return of democracy and the release of the elected leaders, and for the military to step down. And it's a very inspiring thing to see. And we see, even in Yangon alone, there's nearly hundreds of thousands of people all over the city, very strategically working to provide safety to all those who are protesting, and also to make sure that we're not being quelled. And also in Nebido and in Molamyai, we've seen the even though the government is cracking down hard, there is still an ongoing movement. More people are going out, more people are joining the civil disobedience movement, more civil workers, doctors are walking out of their livelihoods to bring an end to this.
Did the reaction on the coup differ between the different generations? Like old people and the young people, do they react differently?
Oh, very differently. That's true.
Oh.
How do I put it? So between the generation X, Y, and Z, Generation X has to live through the worst of it. They live through under the most horrific period of the junta, and it was basically tyranny. If you speak out, if you go against the military, or if you are even planning to leave, your phones are tapped, your wires are tapped, and they had to face so much torture and fear back then. It has ingrained into them a lot, because back in the '88 uprising, there was so much atrocities happening, and so the older generations are much more reluctant to stand up, to be honest. And it's not, and it's not their fault. And they had to live through such atrocities. So there's a sense of post PTSD also within them. And so, but for the younger generations, our generation Y, and the younger generation Z has been very active against this, because I feel like especially for the Generation Z, the young they're very young, so they have much more energy than we could ever hope for, and they have been very actively and peacefully, to be honest, peacefully protesting against all this happening. And the most beautiful thing that I see out of the different generations is that back during the Saffron Revolution, we were walking out, we were talking, we were speaking, we were yelling, etc. But the ingenuity and the control and the way how the keyboard warriors and the netizens, the civil disobedience movement, and the protests happening at the same time, everything being organized by the generation, the latest generation, is very effective, to be honest. It's an inspiring, because the military really was not expecting this much feedback, to be honest. And the response of Generation Z is inspiring. That's the only way I can describe that. Yeah.
I see. And finally, what do citizens want from this demonstration?
I mean, there is a much longer goal of like becoming a federal republic, etc. Among all the ethnic groups and everything, of course, and to provide human rights, and relocating the the Rohingya. All these are for the long-term goals that we want, of course, that the citizens have been trying to work for in the past 5 years. But right now is to, one, a return to democracy. Because that's one, obviously. And next is for the military to step down and basically be depowered. I love the fact that there are brave men and women that are fighting in the front line to protect the country. That is an essential need for a country. And however, what we're facing here right now is not that. We have a military that is in government administration, that is involved in the process of lawmaking, which is, to be honest, it doesn't make sense. And they basically made this rule. These laws are written by them back in 2008 without the consent of anyone, to be honest. They basically rigged an election during a storm and say everybody supported it, but nobody was able to support it because everybody's it was in the middle of a disaster. And so they made this unfair law, and now we really want them to step down and to be out of the government, to be out of the administration process.
I see.
And of course, lastly, is to release the elected leaders. That is not just the leaders, of course. Like in the past few days, there have been night raids.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
There's more and more night raids happening. So with people in the civil disobedience movement being captured and arrested. So we want all these people from the Union Election Committee, the ones in the civil disobedience movement being pressured, as well as any elected government officials that are being captured, released immediately. That is definitely what the citizens are wanting. I mean, they are asking a lot more. I have heard news that a lot of my friends are asking for the UN and the US to like, actually take action. Even so far to ask for military help. And it's a strange thing to see, but I can understand where the sentiment is coming from. Because it seems like a very hopeless situation out here for us. Not just for us, but for, I mean, we are the very privileged few. The ones in Yangon are the very privileged few. The whole country is full of poverty, full of diverse ethnic groups that are being oppressed through a civil war. And of course, you've probably heard about the Rohingyas already. All these atrocities are being perpetrated by the military. And I can sort of understand where the hopelessness comes from when we have no power except our heart and our voice.
So what are you afraid of the most if the military side rule Myanmar?
Oh my God. Do I have to only say one thing,
No.
Yusan?
You can say as many things as you can.
No, but no, there are so many things that I don't know. If you asked me 5 years ago, it would be a very different answer because we've never really tasted freedom or democracy before, to be honest.
I see.
So, but for me, the most scariest thing would be is that I recently got married, and we were thinking of having a child.
Wow.
And I don't want my child to face the fears that I did, to grow up in an education that does not allow you to think, to be afraid of people watching over your shoulder, to not be able to learn art and be creative. I grew up in an education system where I had to travel for 3 hours to go to my university on a bus that is going to bang my head and hurt my spine every day in the middle of a desert, like a literal plain old field where there's no trees. And in the far middle of that nowhere stands a huge university of computer science.
Wow.
And there's no internet connection in that computer science university. When I attended 10 years ago, nearly 10 years ago, 10 years ago now. So I don't want my child to face these kind of fear and lack of an education system, a lack of rights anymore. Not just and that is the thing I'm most scared about. For my child to not be able to stand up from being bullied by a government that has no intention of letting you think freely.
Yeah, I just literally had the goosebump that like if your child has to grow up in that condition of the country, and also like how are you feeling right now? It must be crazy for you.
It is, to be honest. I don't want to downplay it. We're trying hard to hold on. We're trying hard not to lose hope. But at the same time, this is the fourth time that this happened within the past 5 decades. And every time we've lost. The people of Myanmar, the ethnic groups, everybody have lost. And it's hard to not feel that history won't repeat itself. We just had a glimpse of freedom for 5 years. And you know the feeling of like being captured and stuck in a box for the whole life. You don't really care. You know, like like the movie Room, where the child who had to live through and raised in a box in a box room where he has no outside contact. He is ignorant of the suffering he's going through.
Mm.
But the mother who was captured by a deranged rapist and had a sense of freedom before, the pain is unbearable. For most of the older generations, as even me, who was born in '94, for us, we've never had a taste of freedom. So whenever these kind of stuff happens, we are ignorant of the suffering. We know that we're suffering, but we don't really know what we're losing because we never had it in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
But now we just had a glimpse of it.
Yeah.
And we can't go back.
Mm-hmm.
We can't.
Yeah.
We can't let the next generation, these kids who are working out in the street, suffer like we did. We can't. Yeah.
Final question. Please give a message to the whole world, like the people outside of Myanmar. And can you tell me what can we do to help this like demonstration or like the people in Myanmar?
The first thing would be to use your liberty to give us ours. We need your help in speaking out.
Mm-hmm.
Please tell your government, tell your representative, tell the UN Human Rights Council, tell the tell the United Nations in any way you can contact,
mm-hmm.
or actually even share this video,
yeah,
and make it viral so that people know what we're going through. And this is going to promote our liberty. This is going to promote our freedom. This is going to keep the hundreds of thousands of young men and women who are walking out on the street. Not just young men and women, actually, there's babies, 5-year-old, 7-year-old kids who are walking out on the street these days to keep them safe.
Mm-hmm.
When you promote this message outside, this basically keeps them safe from being shot. Like
mm-hmm.
this 19-year-old girl
uh-huh.
who was shot and killed 2 days ago.
Oh.
And lastly, the other thing you can do is to provide your aid. I'm not saying for funds and such. It's more about humanitarian aid to all the ethnic groups that are suffering. I'm from the Burma ethnic group, so basically I'm from the majority. But a lot of the minorities are suffering. All they want is a federal government, and they're gonna lose their hope if this continues. So we can use all the humanitarian aid we can get for those who are being displaced by the civil war, perpetrated by the military. The Rohingya can use a ton of help for sure. And please provide the humanitarian aid for these people. We are the privileged few, and even for us, this suffering is unbearable. For them, it will be insurmountable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's time for statements and calls and messages. We appreciate everything, but we also need a dedicated action.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Okay. The interview is done now. Thank you so much for doing this interview. And once again, are you really sure that like I can use your real voice and your real image and your name Jack? Because there's so many people captured and so on. Like I'm really worried.
I'm also scared as well. That's for sure. But how do I put it? There's so many more people who are risking so much by being out there. And if my act of showing my face and my voice is a symbolic gesture of how much we need help, I would gladly do it.
Okay. Okay, right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for everything.
Thank you so much, Isan, for helping us give this voice as well. This has been I don't even know how to describe it. This has been a great feeling, a great moment. Thank you for everything.
Thank you. And I really hope your safety.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye bye. Thank you.
Bye.
See you.
Thank you so much for watching this video. We really want this video to be watched by many people, so please share this video in any way you can. And we really wish this thing is gonna get turned around in Myanmar.